I think a good place to start is to recap our time with Mark McKinnon. Is that his name?
Yeah, Mark McKinnon. He is of MSNBC fame, as well as The Circus on Showtime. So he's the creator of The Circus, but if you go back further, he was actually a media, I don't know, he sort of ran media in the Bush White House, also for the McCain campaign. That being said, he's a very fair person. He goes on MSNBC all the time, and he called us up and was put in touch with us through some friends, and just said, hey, I've been seeing what's going on these college campuses. I've seen some of the videos on social media. I want to come see it for myself because I think it's a really powerful story that nobody's telling. And we've been screaming from the rooftops, somebody tell this story, because you guys in the audience understand when Charlie goes to the college campuses, even 4 or 5 years ago, even 3 years ago, there might be, 20, 30 people that come and to greet him, and there would be equal number of protesters, sometimes more. Now we go to college campuses, and the crowds are so large that I think all the protesters are scared away. I mean, at UGA in Georgia, we had 5,000 students. Please put some of that B-roll up, please, like 127. This is, so we go to college campuses, and this is what we see now. A sea of young men and women, as far as the eye can see, Charlie trying to perfect his wrist action.
Ultimate Frisbee.
No, by the way, I tried and I got laughed at. I was trying to throw a hat.
That was pretty good though, right?
No. I get it. It's all in the wrist, but I was throwing and they were falling short, and I thought, this is ridiculous. Charlie throws them a mile out there. But that's practice. He's got practice.
I have a funny story really quick. You know that in 6th grade, we had a very competitive Ultimate Frisbee team. I could throw a Frisbee 100 yards. Anyway,
I believe it. I've seen
now
it.
You can see it. Yeah.
No, and go to 126, guys. Show 126. This is what I'm talking about. See that? That didn't happen. That did not used to happen. And a couple of things I think are at play. One, our social media has blown through the roof. Ryan, Emma, Daisy, all the team deserve a lot of credit for this. I mean, what is it? 650 million views on TikTok and YouTube in the last 60 days. The last 60 days. And all these kids follow. They learn from Charlie how to debate some of the insanity that they see. And by the way, they're all hungry for it. They've all been told that they're the problem, that they are hopeless, that they're not going to have it as good as their parents are going to have, that they just need to kind of take down their expectations, bring them lower. You're not going to live the American dream. It's going to be the American dream, but downsized. There was a recent article that said something like that. You're going to live in an apartment instead of have a yard. All these kids are sick of this crap. And, the white men in particular are sick of being told they're the problem in society.
Just for existing.
Just for existing. They did nothing wrong. They just were born in America, presumably the greatest country on the planet, and yet they're the problem. And Charlie goes out there unapologetically. These videos become viral sensation. Listen, I'm gonna big you up because you wouldn't do it for yourself. You're the most viral thing on the right this entire election cycle besides Donald Trump and McDonald's. Okay, these videos are insane. All these kids are just obsessed with them. All these adults are obsessed with them.
Ryan put some numbers in there. We have 150 million views on TikTok in the last week.
In the last 7 days. Make it 250 million, Charlie says. This is how we do it, because Charlie just drives it.
And just so everyone understands, to get 150 million views on TikTok, Ryan, what would that cost you? $10 million, right?
The dollar value, advertisers would be sending.
No, I'm saying that these super PACs are spending
100%.
hundreds of millions of dollars to influence, and this content actually
it's organic. We don't put a dime behind this.
It's not I'm Kamala Harris and I have a plan where people tune out. This is real stuff that
organic.
People run towards, and that's just TikTok. Instagram has been amazing.
Instagram, absolutely. No offense, but I think we probably have the most engaged pound for pound Instagram in the conservative movement as well. So the point is, Mark comes down. He says he wants to see it, and he was blown away. He was absolutely blown away. To his credit, he was curious enough to see it for himself. And Charlie, he just went on MSNBC last night to talk about it.
You navigate us through the clips. It's a 123, 124. I think 123 is the first one.
So Mark told me he was doing this hit. So I said, are you going to tell anybody about what you saw? Because he's actually filming a documentary about this stuff. It's going to come out after the election. I was like, you should, tell somebody what you saw. And he said, I absolutely am. So let's just play. Let's start with 123. And this is on Stephanie Ruhl's show. She's the Karen Weinbaum gal from MSNBC, 123.
Mark, I turn to you because you went to a campus rally at the University of Georgia on Tuesday, sponsored by Turning Point. What did you see?
I couldn't even get through this plaza. It was so packed. They had 2,500 hats that they, tossed out and it ran out of, and halfway through the program. And they welcomed dissent. They asked Trump voters to get out of line and asked Harris voters to come and ask tough questions. And it was really interesting, but it was really counter to the narrative that you'd think, because I didn't expect to see that many young men out in mass for Trump. But I think that there's a lot more going on under the radar with young men, and something that's happening culturally and politically that has consequences not only for this election but well beyond.
The only feedback I will say, though, it wasn't as dominant men as he's making it. I think that kind of plays into. But even when I said, just to be clear, Mark, afterwards, that was about 60-40 men. He agreed. So they're trying to create like a macro narrative out of this, and I get it. But Andrew,
I
the young ladies were screaming.
So I'm just going to be really maybe a little too on the nose with this, but we've got the frat guys. We've got the jocks. We've got the cool kids. We've got a lot of the libertarian guys. We've got masculine men. And guess what? You may not like hearing this, but young ladies like to also go where the young men are.
Of course.
And I would say that there was, at more than one of these campus stops this week. How many did we do this week? I don't know. It was 4. Did we do 4?
I did 3. Prove me wrong.
Yeah.
And just for the record, that's where I lose my voice, is because you have to outdoor amplify, right?
Yeah.
And so that's where I get crushed. And but not to mention, we did the evening event at UNC Chapel Hill, so it was 4.
Yeah, 4 and plus 2 Trump rallies. It's been a week, folks. And then so basically, at more than one of these, I have had people come up to me and say, well, those are some very nice-looking young ladies. Something like this. My point being is that when you've got the young men that are strong, that are masculine, that are the alpha males, you get the women too.
And by the way, Ryan, who's a wizard with this stuff, and Daisy would agree, he's looking at our TikTok data. Just like the audience, 60% of our TikTok audience is male, 40% female. So that's about the clip.
Totally. But there is something happening with young men. In the New York Times.
That's not the takeaway from that event.
Totally. And it's important. But there was actually, and this is my last thing I'll leave you with, and we'll talk about one of our partners here. There was a New York Times article that just dropped that said, for the first time since they've been recording the stats, young men are more religious than young women. Young men are more religious than young women.
That's worth diving into.
That's huge.
Yeah.